Coming to you live from my basement. It's nothing ventured, nothing gained. Tonight, I'm joined by Fabio
Hey.
and Steve,
Yep.
and we are doing another segment of Power Up.
Power up.
In this segment, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, Power Up is basically where we take an idea and we build characters around that idea. Our previous 2 episodes, one of them is Power Up using the aid action and how to build a character around the aid action. And the one after that was Power Up Mobility, where Fabio built a character who at like level 5 can move 100 feet in any direction or something like that.
All the directions at the same time.
Yeah, all of them. And Steve built a character who will move you. He doesn't move, he moves you. That was really great episodes. And in this one, we are introducing the topic of magic. This is really weird because Fabio usually avoids magic like the corona.
I hate magic. I hate it so much. God.
But he is a good sport and has decided to play along. So today we are dealing with the control and support aspect of magic. Fabio, we will be taking characters up to level 8. Fabio and Steve have come up with 2 interesting characters on that topic. And why don't we talk about what is control and support? I think that is a topic when someone says control and support, right? What do you think of? This kind of goes out to Fabio and Steve. That's what to do.
Oh, sure. I'll take my side first. Whenever I think of control, I always think of not letting your opponent do what they want to do, or not letting them allowing them to do what would be like their main actions, their main moves, or just, oh, you want to play this? No, you can't play that. Oh, you want to do this? Oh, you can't do that. And then in my mind also, support is making sure that your teammates, anybody on your side, one, stays alive, right? And also is able to do the most that they can. So, helping them move a little bit faster, making sure that they can just jump a little bit better, making sure that they can survive just a little bit longer, giving them the added bonus of protection that they may not have. And those are 2 things that I feel that a lot of people look at and they just go, well, that's not a lot of fun, right? Because it's not like I don't get to immediately kill things, and I don't get to, choke things out and watch the life, leave from their eyes, right? That, it just seems like boring. But I think that there's so much more fun in control and in support, because you're the person that making sure that nobody dies, or you're the person make sure you don't get to do anything. I always thought that was fun.
Steve?
Yeah, in the similar vein of it's not directly affecting combat in the way of hurting the opponents in a damage sense, but it's in a way like you said, I view it more like in the control sense of a debuff. So it's like, okay, I want to make sure that you can't do as much on your turn that you normally would be able to. And for me, support is being able to let your allies do more than they would normally be able to do, or to guarantee something that they're trying to do on their turn.
So very similar to the aid action, while instead of burning action on just a single concept, this is more of a very broad concept where you're not going to be the guy, right? Like, so Balin and Cursewind both do fairly large amounts of damage. So whenever something happens, they're the people who kind of like burst out damage. They're like, oh, I hit for 48, 84, 64 points of damage. So you're not looking at that. You're looking at more of okay, I'm going to make sure my teammate can get 4 attacks per round, or can move attack, or I'm just going to put slime all over that one enemy and I'm going to negate anything it wants to do.
Grease them.
Which makes your DM's life a living hell, by the way. So, just remember, the DM will cry. So, why don't we start at level 1? And what we're going to talk about here is what class and ancestry did you choose, and what led you to that. So why don't we start with Fabio? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the character that is coming up? Give us, the name that you've come up with. You guys come up with really interesting names, both Steve and Fabio. So I know our audience likes hearing them.
And Steve and I worked really hard in being creative. We both stayed up really late at night, bouncing ideas off each other to figure out what would work best for our characters. I landed on the name of Hamburger Helper.
Nice.
Right? And that is the name of my character. He is a human cleric, background field medic. The heritage that I took was a versatile heritage, simply because I like options. The more stuff that I can put in the beginning, I like to do. And I dumped a lot of the stats into wisdom, charisma. I even took the voluntary flaws to knock down strength and dex a little bit, just so we can have a little bit more in con. This character is built to keep other people alive. He is not built to fight. He doesn't really want to get into the mists of fisticuffs, right?
Mhm.
But he wants to make sure that everybody else can. With versatile heritage, I took the extra general feat, and I took incredible initiative. And the main reason why I took incredible initiative is simply because there's certain moves that come out later, which I will touch on, which I feel that I like going first. So if I can go first, make sure that I can put these things on my party, or I can put them on my teammates, it'll be beneficial for the remainder of the fight. And these are some of them are also things that I can get back over a short rest, so it's not like I'm burning spells out and just doing it once. It's like, no, I can continually do this. After that, I took the ancestry feat Natural Ambition, so I can take the class feat Healing Hands, Domain Initiate Healing, of course. If you're going to go cleric, you're going to go healer. The natural inclination is to go into like that healing domain. And at first, to be honest, I didn't really like it, because I felt like, it only gives like minor bumps. But when you watch how it scales, it gets way better. I took the Doctrine Cloistered Cleric.
I was about to ask about that one. I was like, oh, did you go war or cloister? Interesting.
I went cloistered. Like, I like War Priest, and I felt like War Priest would be great if I wanted to make him a little bit more combat orientated. But knowing simply for the fact that like I literally dumped his dex and I dumped his strength, giving him like a hammer to go fight people just felt counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It felt like somebody was going to take the hammer and beat him with it, and I'd feel really sad if that happened. So I chose not to, right? And that's basically it. So like first level, this guy's about going first, making sure people can get their heals, making sure that they can, stand up, stay up, and he has the benefit of, when he heals other, he can also like he has extra heals. He will always have an extra heal or two, to make sure that he can keep on going, keep on keeping people up. Especially at level 1 where everything's out to kill you in one bite, literally, right? You'll be making sure that people don't die as fast.
Yeah, I hear a lot of not complaints. I think a lot of people aren't so used to the lethality of Second Edition. I feel that a lot of not complaints, but I guess concerns or questions come up where if you read the forums on Reddit, on Facebook, a lot of people are like, hey, is it me, or does it seem like a first, second level character like goes down real fast? And it's true. Like a lot of times, like I apologize, the single adventure AP, the Fall of Plaguestone, there's an encounter with some wolves.
Yeah.
And it's just general wolves. But apparently that encounter is hyper dangerous. I actually never gotten to play it.
Yeah, but wolves are grimy as a monster. They get a free knockdown. So it's like, hey, I bit you. I'm gonna drag you on the ground. You're not prone. Anything else that bites you, now you're flat-footed. Now your AC is lower when it's already the lowest it could probably be in all of the game. You're gonna get fucked up and balled up by wolves. Nobody wants that in real life or in the fantasy realm.
Nope.
Right? So when stuff like that happens, you want to make sure somebody has, that extra heal. And Jared, you're absolutely right. Like you're starting off with what, like 10, 13, maybe like sometimes 20 HP.
I think the barbarian gets the highest, and it could probably get close to 20.
Yeah, so it's like, you roll really well on a couple D6s, or a D8. That's it.
Yeah, the DM will take you out real fast by accident. I mean, not even by accident, just on the base rolls.
Yeah, shit
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Also, I like, if I may, I like your character concept because you have that high charisma, and I don't. Obviously, I can look at your character sheet, but I'm assuming that your character is like has the ability to talk, even with the high charisma, and we have a cleric ourselves in our party, and charisma gives them more spell slots. So if you're a cleric with a high charisma, you get more spell slots for healing or harm, depending on your god, right? Your alignment.
Yeah.
And so with your charisma, what was your number again? I'm sorry.
Mine is a 4. So the total
Yeah.
number is an 18, but you know it's
Yeah.
a +4. I think the thing that we get is, I think it's not the healing initiative, it's the other one. Healing font. Right?
Yeah.
That's when you get an additional spell slot each day at your highest level of cleric spells. You can prayer only heal spells in these slots, and the number of slots equal 1 plus your charisma modifier. So at level 1 with 4 charisma, I have 5 heals that I can burn.
That's
at level 1, and that's not counting what a normal level 1 caster would have. I have 5 additional healing off the bat.
Yeah, outside from your spell slots that you could prep, which would be an additional 2, I think, at level 1.
Which
So-
would be more healing.
Yeah, so you have so much heal. 7 heal slots is a lot. Like that's a
Yeah, but that also takes away a lot of versatility too.
yes.
So
but
the
this
one
character-
the one I put for the first level, I put bless and I put magic weapon.
Like that.
Bless, I just like it because it's it's one of those things like, hey, all your allies, everybody gets that +1 to attack rolls, and I feel like that's just dope. It's super simple. Like boom, start off the bat by everybody gets blessed, everybody has a +1, everybody's a little bit better. The person that hits the absolute hardest that you're aware of, like big boy Balin, you hit him with magic weapon on level 1. That motherfucker's murdering people immediately.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting murdered because now you get the +1, right? Even though they don't stack, right? Or at least let me double check and make sure it's an item.
In theory, they should.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
No, they do.
Because one's an item bonus.
Yeah.
One's an item bonus, the other one's a +1 status bonus. So at level 1, you're giving one character a +2 to attack, right? Off the bat. They're doubling their damage dice off the bat, right? That person's going to murder face.
So on to Steve. Thank you, Fabio. Steve, level 1. What class, ancestry? What's your character's name?
So my character's name, it's a little interesting. The answer is no.
Yeah.
So this time I'm actually not being a human. It'd be the first time in Power Up history they were not picking a human because they're so good.
They are.
I picked an elf, and my class
Ooh.
is wizard.
Oh.
I picked wizard just for. I mean, I could have picked sorcerer. The difference between major like wizard sorcerer, I get an extra spell per day that I can cast, but I'm limited in what I can cast. Versus wizard, I get an option of I can have basically at some point all the wizard spells, and I have my pick of what I want.
I want all the wizards.
Yeah.
Gimme.
So I picked as my background scholar in nature. I just wanted to start like diversifying, just to have all the knowledges and all the wonky stuff. So I have a high intelligence, obviously, since it's a wizard. So that's the other thing with picking wizard over sorcerer is I can double dip to get almost all the skills. Because I'm having such a high intellect. Because obviously I'm having an 18 intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think a 16 wisdom, and that'll be explained in just a second. That I'm getting all the knowledges. I'm getting all 4 traditions in the skills, and just picking basically my pick of whatever skills that I want.
Okay.
My heritage I picked is ancient elf, and I picked as the ancient elf gives you a free dedication.
Yeah.
And I picked the thing that people say you should never do. I picked a druid dedication.
Why?
Because it lets me now cast a different school of magic, which then, especially with druid, with entangle and web, and it opens my options for controlling the battlefield in a way that normally I would have spells. So it's not that I wouldn't have spells, but it just gives me more options to be able to now dip into a completely different tradition. Is it going to be a lot of spells? Of course not. It's not going to be a lot of spells. But I also noticed that there were certain spells of certain levels of wizard that I'm like, there's nothing here for me. And that was the thing, is it wasn't an immediate decision to like, oh, I'm definitely going to dedication another spellcasting class. So it was like, what could I take? And I started going through it, and I'm like, at this level, I'm just not going to take anything good. I'm going to take a first level feat, and I really don't even want it. Mm-hmm. So instead of, I could just take a dedication feat at that level, so I can get more spell casting.
Okay, interesting. With wizard, what did you choose as your school?
Enchantment.
Enchantment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enchantment is the one where you're affecting people's minds.
Yep.
That's the mind control one.
You're taking me out by the knees here, Steve. You're catching me every time. I'm like, I know what he's gonna say, and then he's like, yeah, I took druid. I'm like, druid hurts. Druid as a dedication hurts. And then you're like, yeah, I took leaf, and I was like, okay, leaf. Like you were talking about entangle, find web. Yeah, sure. Like you're just, you're working with what's around you, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I took enchantment. I was like, enchantment, got that snarky, like my nose, like I smelled something bad, just real, like you stuck an onion under there. Enchantment, like I would, like in my head, I'm like, he's definitely gonna take like evocation, maybe conjuration.
Well, from a standpoint of, I was trying to pick a school that would enhance the idea of control.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And like,
so you're messing with the dome.
Yeah, so this is, as an enchanter, you use magic to manipulate minds of your victims, and like you can transmute stuff, and you can that's like where grease comes in, or some of the other spells. Evocation is going to nuke everything, so it's not really controlling. I guess you control where people can go by putting a wall of fires in front of somebody, but illusion was probably going to be my first go-to.
Okay,
but then I'm like, well, a lot of people go with illusion, and my abjuration, that's more defensive. Yeah. So in essence, that's more of support on that side of it. Divination is interesting. It's just that just require. I have an issue with divination. It just requires the DM to roll more dice. It's really, if you look at most divinations, well, I would say at least there's a fair few of them. It's like, oh well, the DM's got to make 3 secret checks to figure out what the hell happens. So that's the reason I went. I went just to basically, first level for me is to get all my options out of the way. Mm-hmm. So with the ancient elf, getting the druid dedication, and I think I take a basic spellcasting later at some point. Yeah. But it's really just to get my options. Now I'm set to pick whatever I want as I level up.
And keep moving forward. I will say, as a disclaimer, talk to your DM about ancient elf, and definitely find out if you're deciding to play any one of these, Steve's character, find out what society. I'm not 100% sure if ancient elf is legal in PFS.
I wasn't even looking for PFS.
Let's just double check with if you're listening to this in the future and you're like, oh, I would totally want to play that. It sounds dope. Talk to your DM and talk to you and find out what PFS. Only because I know ancient elf is very wonky. It is fairly powerful for you get an all-free dedication, and that sometimes DMs might have something else in their head what they want to play. So this is just kind of like your generic, like, ask your doctor before you're allowed to take
and that really goes with anything. It's like, oh, well, I'm gonna play this weird thing, and always just give a heads up to DM what you're playing, what your idea for your character is.
It's just politeness,
Exactly. You want to play a character with knives for hands and feet, you should definitely talk to your DM. So we're playing that. They might not, or they might give you hindrances, like you can never write ever because you have knives for hands and feet.
Now we're gonna move on, and moving on means we're going to jump to level 3. And why level 3? It's a nice level. I feel like that's when a lot of characters start to come into their own in a lot of systems. In Pathfinder, it's similar. So, why don't we bounce on to Fabio? Fabio, level 3, what are we looking at here? How has Hamburger Helper helped himself? Or their self, right? Non-gendered.
So, super quick, by level 3, I took a general feat, Word Medic, because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Just having the ability to, like, oh, you've studied a large medical ward, treating several patients at once. Just having that ability to like make sure, like, all right, I can heal multiple people on the same check. Just makes sense to me, right? And it
Yeah.
was just one of those things that just felt intuitive for somebody who's going to be supporting their team, making sure that they don't die as fast, and also without blowing the umpteenth level of slots that they have. Like, hey, fuck that. I'll save those for when shit gets really hairy and just kill everybody for free. Another one that I took, which I know is like a little bit weird, and I took this at the second level, was natural medicine. It's like you can apply a natural cures to heal your allies. You can use nature instead of medicine to treat wounds. If you're in the wilderness, you might have an easier access to fresh ingredients, allowing you to gain a +2 circumstance bonus to treat wounds using nature. The main reason why I took this, and I know it was like a weird thing, is just like, wait, it kind of like falls out of it if you're working with medicine to have an extra skill. I like the idea of, if you're out in the wild, and because I'm also trained in nature at that point, it's you can have that ability like, hey, I want to take the time to get, look for aloe. I want to take the time to, look for mint. I want to take the time to look for forsythia leaves, right? All these things that add into role play, right, to help my character. And I feel like there's a lot of like skills that they added that just don't really do anything, right? But I feel like if you use them in the right way, I feel that if you have a DM that's likes and rewards role playing or likes and rewards creativity, it's definitely something that I feel will help, and it won't hurt, if anything. And I felt like looking for more things that just help with the whole curing, helping, assisting, that just fell in line with it and just kept that same theme. And then the last thing I took was communal healing. At first, I did not like this. I didn't like it. And the more I looked at it, I was like, wait a second. Nah, it's kind of whack. And I looked at it, all right, it's just kind of bad. And I looked at it, I was like, all right, it's decent. Wait a second. This is really good.
Okay.
Now, what communal healing does is you're a conduit for positive energy. As you sight through, as you sit through you, it heals some of your minor injuries. When you cast a heal spell to heal a single creature other than yourself, you regain hit points equal to the spell level of the heal spell. Now, if you're first level and you pop a first level here, you're just like, okay, I heal somebody, I gain 1 HP. Not a big deal. Every time you heal somebody, you gain 1 HP. I have 5 heals at this point. At level 3, I'm still going to have 5 heals. That means I'm guaranteed, no matter what burning these heals, I'm going to get back 5 HP, right? Now, let's say I'm boosting up another one, and I do that on a second level. That's 10 HP. On a third level heal, that's 15 HP for like all those heals. So every time I'm throwing a heal at somebody else, right, whether they're close, far away, I'm making sure I'm also keeping myself up. So let's say, they're like, I killed a healer. I'm like, okay, pop a quick heal on myself. Somebody else gets in the mix. Oh, somebody else is dying. All right, I heal them. Boom. I also get a heal myself. Right. And I always I thought that was dope. In addition, I get something called Healer's Blessing, which I really like, which is like just another heal, but not really. It's one of those focus point moves, and what it does is your words bless a creature with an enhanced connection to positive energy. When a target regains hit points from a heal spell, it regains an additional 1 health point. So it's just it all starts to stack. I throw a heal, I gain HP on you. You throw a heal, you get an additional 1 HP on top of that. And in addition goes, the target regains additional hit points from Healer's Blessing on the first time. So it's just more like whatever. But that move heightens. So it heightens every +1. So that means, and it gives you an additional 2. So after like the first one, you heighten up your spell to, a second, level heal or anything like that. Bang, this person is now getting, and it's an additional 2 HP per heal. So I heal myself for a little bit. I'm healing you for an additional 2. So just everything just slowly starts to stack. Where just like my heals get better. Every time I throw a heal, I get healed. It's just all these little things that just add on to making sure your characters, everybody else stays alive. Real quick, the spell I took for the second level, which I think we get second level spells, is Shield, Other, and Status. I didn't want to take Status, but I just like the idea of Status.
Oh, you could tell people stuff.
Yeah, because then I'm just like, all right, that idea of how much HP do you have? Up, up, up. You can't ask somebody how much
Yeah,
HP do you have,
metagame.
right? This one literally lets you kind of like circumvent that,
Yeah.
like to a degree, right? You are aware of their present state. We're like, so on a scale from 1 to 53, how hurt are you? You know, like I would say some shit like that. I know Jared would give me the side. I'd be like, you can't ask that. I'd be like, hey, bro, how are you feeling on a scale from 1 to 62? I don't know if that's your HP, but I feel like it might be. You know, just saying. Give me a bump. Are you feeling a 58? Are you feeling like a 30? Like, how bad is it? You know,
I feel like in my head it's the old Resident Evil 2 meter with the green light, the green light, and then the
that.
yellow, and then the red light, meaning like
hated
you're about
that.
to die. That's what status is in my head. You get that Resident Evil bar for that person.
yeah. And the other thing I took was Shield Other, just simply because I feel like it's a really cool spell that's just used weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like it always scared the shit out of me because it's like, oh, you could die fast from this if somebody gets mollywopped. Right? But if you have a good amount of healing and you have certain buffs on somebody who might be a tank who can also probably mitigate some damage, like you'll have, and the fact that you're healing them and also getting passive heals, it all works together.
Yeah, especially if they have a shield, because some of the shield absorbs damage if they snap it into place. So, the monster hit them for 15, while the shield takes 5, and they take 10, and then the shield other takes half.
Yep, you only take 5. I take the 5. All right, I can hold on. I can burst the heal on myself, or you know what? Somebody else who I know can't take a hit. Bang! I'll heal them instead of the tank who I know will be okay. Right? I heal them, make sure they're okay, get a bonus from that heal, and get passive heals from somebody else.
So you would put that on Steve's character.
So yeah, I might put it on Steve's character while he's in the fray to make sure he takes less damage, and put like the whatchamacallit, the healer's blessing on someone like Benji, who if like he were to take a hit and be like, all right, I don't want to get him to die. Bang, you take a hit, okay, bang, you're healed back, you get an additional +1. I get an extra maybe +2 from the heal that I just dropped, and Valen just took some damage. All right, I'm fine. Everybody's fine. Everybody's alive.
Yeah.
I'm theoretically like mitigating damage for 3 different characters as opposed to just 1 or 2.
That's really cool. That I would not want to be in the same party as Hamburger Helper and what was yours, Steve? No, Mr. No.
The answer is no.
The answer is not no. The answer is no. I like in my head right now what Steve's about to get into, because we're gonna bounce off Fabio and go over to Steve. What I'm about to hear from Steve is just in my head gonna hurt me. It's gonna actually give me physical mental damage.
So because the answer is no.
The answer is no.
The second level wizard feat that I had to take is counterspell. Nope. Just you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
Shake my head. You can't see me. I'm hard head shakes. Just no.
The general feat that I took is dubious knowledge, since I am rolling all the knowledges, but I may not have the highest stat in those knowledges. Just so I can gain some advantage. Like I said, when this class really comes together, is the spells that you're picking, and when it comes to, I'm not gonna go through every spell, but just for the first, the coolest thing I think is the focus spell you get from enchantment.
Yeah, what do you
and
get?
It's actually called Charming Words, and obviously it's a will save.
Yeah,
and if they crit succeed, nothing happens. If they fail, they get a -1 penalty to their attack and damage rolls against me. If they get a failure, they can't take any hostile actions. So it's almost like Sanctuary in that way. If they crit fail, they're stunned and also can't use hostile actions against me until their next turn. Oh. So that's why I was like, oh man, that's the spell. That's the spell. That's the cornerstone.
Yeah.
So then, like I have things like Fear, Agitate, Rave, Enfeeblement. When you're talking about second level spells, now we're talking about Touch of Idiocy and Hideous Laughter. I'm basically making sure you can't use your character.
Yeah.
It's like anything that either takes away actions. Like if you crit fail in the Touch of Idiocy, you're stupefied 4. And it's like, just no, you can't do anything. I'm sorry. I apologize, but try again tomorrow.
Wow. That's a
even not even talking about crit, because then obviously crit failures is a thing. But the cool thing about it is I have certain spells that will cause your saves to get worse, like fear, and now your will save is lower, and then I pop a really bad spell on you, and then you're gonna crit fail that spell. But even just failure of hideous laughter, you're slowed and can't use reactions. So not only is your next turn you're only gonna get 2 actions, but you can't react now until the spell wears off. So stuff like that. Like this is what the direction that I kind of went with is anything that either slows you down, messes with your next turn, or gives penalties to what I know you're good at. That's the direction that I went with.
That's so obnoxious. And then you have the high like knowledge roll, you have the dubious knowledge, you know, and like you're like, all right, I'm gonna roll knowledge on this monster. I don't really care about its AC. Tell me about its will save. Tell me its will save. You know, and then as a DM, you're like, all right, well, you know, I always say like a success, you get like the weaknesses. You don't get like information on the stats.
Yeah.
But with such a high int and such a high wisdom, you're probably gonna crit those knowledge checks, and you're gonna be like, and then that's when like as a DM, I would be like, all right, cool, you did get a critical success. I will say its will is really powerful, meaning, you know, it's probably high. And then, it's, you know, it's an average will, meaning, you know, you probably have a good shot, and be like, it's terrible will. You know, you don't have to give a straight number, but you could give something like that. And then with that, you know, all of a sudden now Steve's character, you know, say no, is like, all right, so he has a low will. I bet I'm just gonna stupefy the shit out of him.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is because I'm a wizard, and because I'm also getting, and at this point I really only get cantrip druid spells.
Yeah.
But because I know, like, say I know or have an idea, because, you know, as an adventurer, you're going to kind of figure this out. You know, like the enemy wizard or the enemy cleric, they're going to have a decent wisdom or decent will save, right? So I may at that point, like, I'm a damn wizard. I don't just have to cast these spells. I can have a flesh to stone. Make that fort save. Or here's a fireball, make that reflex save. So I don't always have to target the will save. That's just kind of like majority of the spells I pick, just to kind of hammer this point home of if you fail any of these things, you're gonna have a bad day. But then I have that ability to go, I can target any one of your saves. It's not gonna matter.
I don't want to play with these two people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Bring out the stupid monsters then.
Yeah, that's when you're just like an 8-headed Hydra shows up. Figure it out. You're like, but why did will save it?
Like, I heal all the damage you just did. Yeah, it would be all right.
We
heal, pop 2 heals. All right, we good.
We good. We all right. We good. That's so frustrating. I like it. I like how, you know, I could see both these characters being in the party. You know, there's always the caster and there's always the healer. And both of these characters in the party would be obnoxious and I would lose my effing mind. Just in general, I'd be like, oh my god, these two people are playing again. Poison. Yeah, I'm the cleric's like, I can fix that. It's like, bro, really?
It's like, iocane powder.
Yeah,
I made myself immune to that.
Yep,
yeah,
I'll be all right.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Like, you know what? I'll let it rock.
Just for one turn. Just to give me hope as the DM.
I choose to fail to save. Wait, what? Yep, I choose to fail to save.
I don't want to pass. I want to die. Really? No, I'm just going to take it off next turn. I just want to see the look on your face. Oh, man, that would make me so salty. Yeah, that would be a whole roll of salt. So now we're at level 5, and level 5 is really where players start really kicking ass, taking names, and everything else. I feel like level 5 is the epitome of now you're the fighter, now you're the rogue, now you're the cleric, now you're the wizard. I think level 5 is where you get fireball and stuff like that, like all the big name spells start to pop up on your stuff. So back to Fabio.
Okay, so
Mr. Hamburger Helper. How they dishing out their goodies at this point?
So level 5, like I only got a couple of like cool little things, but it just works in tandem with what Hamburger Helper does. So at level 5, I took one of my favorite ancestry feats, which is just cooperative nature. It's one of those things that gives you the +4 to aid. Cursewind has it. A couple of the characters that I had when we did the aid action, they had that too. And the main reason why I like it is knowing that you're not going to be the person in the forefront, knowing that you're going to be the support. I want to make sure that you give the best ability to support. So getting a +4 circumstance bonus to aid or on somebody else's check, it's like, all right, I'm going to ready an aid. I know I'm either going to be healing, dropping a spell to buff somebody, do something else. If I ready this, for the aid, I'm going to get that +4. I have a higher chance of critting on my aid check to helping somebody else do what they have to do, right? So they get that extra, +2, to whatever it is. And I feel like it's one of those things that just looks at like, everybody's going for damage. Nah, if you do that, everybody's getting a slice of that damage pie.
I like that.
The other thing I took was I took this at 4, which was continual recovery.
Okay.
It just makes it so when you do treat wounds or anything like that, instead of it being immune for an hour, you're only immune for 10 minutes. Right? I feel it's one of those things where it's like, I know keeping time is always like weird and like clunky, because like you can spend an hour in real world, but it's only been like 10-15 minutes in the game world. At least in this one, for a fact you're going to always have your treat wounds ready. You're always going to be like, all right, I'm pretty sure 10 minutes have passed if we went through 3 rooms, did an investigation check. All right, we're good. I can do that. Or, we went through a couple rooms as people did some checks. I know I'm good. I know 10 minutes went by, unless I'm in combat. So then, somebody gets hurt. Oh, you activated the trap. I'm going to heal him. Wait, you already healed him within the last hour. Yeah, I can do it every 10 minutes. And because I have ward healing, I can heal everybody every 10 minutes. So then it's, it's lowering the amount of time or like the hindrance they put in the game to try and mitigate you just abusing it. So now I get to abuse the shit out of it. Right. And then the last thing I put was improved communal healing. Right.
Okay.
So what that one does is you can direct excess channeled energy outward towards to benefit an ally. You can grant hit points you would regain from communal healing to any one creature within range of your heal spell instead of yourself. You can also use communal healing when you target only yourself with the heal spell. So if you do, you must grant the additional healing to someone other than yourself. So the cool thing about that is, remember when I healed people and I dropped like a 2nd level spell and I gained 2 HP back? Oh, I'm at full HP. I don't need that. But, the answer is no over there. Got, stubbed his toe and took 2 damage. Yeah, your toe's healed. You ain't got to worry about that no more. I can just throw like a Lobby heal on people and top people off.
That's
right?
dope.
And I could double stack it on like the same person. Or if I heal myself, I'm just like, I bet I'm hurt. Stub toe over there. Bong, you're okay too. It now makes it so I can go heal one person, mitigate damage on another person. I catch a heal, or bump that. I put it on somebody else. Now it's instead of 3 people, I can help 4 people or do some other crazy shit. It's just bouncing out the heals. So instead of having it where like I'm at full health, I can make sure that everybody gets it and has a little bit extra.
You're sharing the love.
Exactly. And the spells I took, I kept it simple. I took Circle of Protection, which I really like because it gives the +1 to AC against attacks a creature of a chosen alignment, and it saves against effects for such creature. The bonus increases +3 against effects for such a creature that directly control the target and attacks made by summoned creatures of the chosen target, of the chosen alignment. So it's like, it's an area, 10-foot emanation centered on a touch creature. I touch somebody, I might even touch myself or whatever, like bong, all right, everybody's in a clusterfuck, run in there, all right, boom, anybody around you, so big boy Balin, who's all up in the mix, fucking shit up, anybody around Balin, so Artar that's gonna be in there trying to backstab a motherfucker, everybody in that 10-foot emanation, they're gonna get that bonus to AC, they're gonna get the bonus to attack rolls, and it's just like, and it's more, and it's a status bonus, so, fun stuff.
I mean, I see where you're going, right? You're now just the biggest heal bot ever. The 10-minute thing is cool because it says every time someone tries to refocus, it usually takes about 10 minutes. So if in the last combat, say no has popped his with the enchanting ability.
Yeah. Charming words.
charming words. And now he's like, hey, listen, guys, I think we should take a 10-minute, nap. If you used that battle medicine, the ward medic, whatever, okay, I'm going to do it right before we do a 10-minute nap. And then, bang, everyone gets it. And now 10 minutes, and then now you got it again. And you instantly, the DM knows how much time has passed. Everyone's in agreement, 10 minutes has passed. And now you're like, yep, I could do it again. Let's do some crazy shit.
Hamburger helpers always helping hamburgers.
That's it. There's no one's getting it.
Nobody will be ground beef.
No one. There will be none. I am upset with that. I would not enjoy that. I'll be like, I don't want to play this anymore.
They're like,
I'll be like, all right, fine, you guys
died.
win. Like, DM's like, all right, you guys win. I don't want to be here anymore. Okay, awesome. I would love to see some of these characters played. Not with me as a DM, but I would love to see them. And we're gonna bounce this over to Steve. So where are we at, Steve? At level 5?
All
What are we
right,
looking
so
at
once
here?
we get to level 5, the one skill feat is because I'm most likely going to be in a dungeon.
Mhm.
So I picked Terrain Stalker in Rubble. So anytime in Rubble, I just don't have to make stealth checks. I just am stealthing, which I thought was
Interesting.
really good. This is when I took basic Druid spell casting. So now I have access to up to 3rd level spells in Druid.
Okay.
And then my ancestry feat, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of non-human, is that sometimes the ancestry feats are so niche. So I just picked. We're not even going to talk about the ancestry feat, but I picked one. But it just doesn't matter. It's more
Did
of
you
a
take, like, elvish weaponry.
no.
Now
It's
you're-
like
now you're a
it's called
wizard.
ageless patience.
No,
So
that's a great one.
It's a great one, but it doesn't go with the theme we're going with, right? I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, no.
It's
a good
just
one.
I'm not saying this is I was trying to get themed. Like if there was an ancestry feat that said every time you put a status on somebody you increase it by 1 round, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I just was like, for the goal that we had and the singular focus. Yet again, the Fabio and I built these characters with singular focus. We're not going out and saying go out and build these characters and just piss off everyone at your table. What we are saying is like this
That's
is
next.
like the update. This is like to the nth degree of what you can do.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to take part of it. You can even take part of it and go, okay, well, I'm going to take my evocation wizard and I'm going to add a little bit of this enchantment BS in there,
Yeah.
or I'm going to add a little bit of like the extra skill healing, or you could even be a non-caster healer and take some of the medicine feats that you're taking. So it's not necessarily where it's like, oh, you have to have these feats with this ancestry and this stats, whatever. But it just didn't really focus in on the topic at hand.
So, for those of you who would like to know, ageless patience is the reason why I say it's a great one. Is every morning you can just meditate on your age and wisdom and get it trained in a new skill.
No, that's not that.
I thought that was the one.
No, it's like you work at a pace for longevity that enhances your thoughtfulness. You can voluntarily spend twice as long on perception checks or
Oh,
skill
that's
checks
whack
and gain pluses, but you take longer to do it.
That's an old man looking for his reading glasses.
Yeah, basically.
That's an old man being old.
Yeah, but then you get to see it and you see the future.
That's true. Actually, you know what? As I said to Fabio when Fabio took his nature medicine and building the role play, that you're role playing that ancient ancestry you took.
Yeah.
Because that one says you have to be an older elf and you had like this whole other life before this life. So now you're role playing the shit out of that, being an old man, just doing old man shit. Just hold on. We don't need to go so fast. Take a moment. Everyone sit down. Let me tell you a really old man story.
Now we get 3rd level spells. We're getting enthrall. We're getting paralyzed. We're getting vampiric touch. Things just to keep me alive. Because enthrall. Hey, you failure saved. Now go. Now you work for me.
Yeah. Now you're mine. Your sword is mine.
Yeah.
You are mine.
So
Yeah, you
just
got the
more
George
crazy
Trench
BS.
Interesting. What was the skill you took to your next bump from the 2 into mastery, into master from or expert? Is it expert, right?
I think expert.
Yeah, it's expert. Master doesn't come until
Higher, way higher. Yeah.
7, I think.
Yeah.
It's so kind of bouncing off with druid and wizard. My first expert was arcana, just because that's my main thing, and then the second one was nature.
Okay. Yeah, doing the best, and now you have your druid spells. So with the druid one, do you have the option to now choose druid spells, or do you get druid spells?
I get druid spells.
You get the druid spells.
Because originally it was just taking the dedication, you get cantrips, and now I get
You actually get spells.
I think I get spells, but I think I get them at a slower rate.
Yeah.
Because at least this is showing me that I only get a first level spell, which is going to be charm. Yet again, just more messing with the opponents.
Mine.
I
like this character, and it's gonna sound weird. I would totally play up this character, and I know you want Leaf, but I feel like I would play the hell out of this character as kind of like a snake person, like Thulsa Doom from like Conan.
Oh yeah, that would work.
Where like they're very like charismatic, and like they live this whole other life where they were a druid, and like you could nail people to the tree of woe, or maybe your little symbol is the tree of woe.
Contemplate your sins on the tree of woe.
Exactly. And you could do your damnedest to do a James Earl Jones impression as you play. And
honestly, now this has to be the Agents of Edgewatch character.
We gotta play this now.
I'm not saying, right? Like you have this whole interesting character that you could develop. In my head, like it's a very cultist. Like you could even play it like a lawful evil, like you're building a cult behind your character. The whole concept of this character is to like, I'm just building a cult. And now
this could go in so many dark ways. I don't even want to think about it right now.
It's a very but now we are at level 8. Level 8 is you're almost 10, you're kind of rounding yourself out. So the important stuff, where do you see yourselves now coming about? Did you change? Did anything turn? Did Hamburger Helper start to take harm spells? So why don't we start there, Fabio? Where is Hamburger Helper?
So the quick answer for did he take any harm? So the answer is no.
Oh.
So what but what I do want to tell, like, I'll start with the spells real quick because they're like super like fun in my mind. One I took was a 4th level spell, Vital Beacon. Right,
okay.
I feel like it's just a fun spell. Right, that's one where it's like until your next daily preparation, vitality radiates outward from you, allowing others to supplicate and receive healing. Once per round, either you or an ally can use an interact action to supplicate and lay hands upon you to regain hit points. Each time the beacon heals someone, it decreases in strength. It restores 40-10 on the first, 48. It's just one of those, you basically become like the holy energy of like, come, taste of my flesh and be healed, that type of shit. Right, and somebody when you touches you, bang, they get a quick heal. Somebody else touches you, bang, or you can touch yourself, bang, get a quick heal. Right, and you're just a beacon, right? And it lasts for a minute. So it's one of those. It's like, well, I'm healing others. I'm gonna stand here and be beacon. Anybody that comes near me, touches me, they get a heal too. You're just more annoying. Go ahead.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry, but before I forget, does that work with your healing ability from 3rd level, which said every time you heal someone, you get that +1?
It doesn't, because that one is specific towards using the heal spell.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
It says you have to use the heal spell for that one. This one is just, bang, I make myself a beacon. So for a minute, whether I'm conscious or not, because it doesn't say that you have to be awake to use it. Once it's on, you're good. Right?
Hamburger Helper falls asleep, just start burning high-level spells.
I break, like you're like, I can't sleep on him. I'm still a beacon of healing. I don't take breaks. Don't take breaks. The healing never stops. Right, so I like that. Spell immunity, I just thought it was just cool to be like, you know what, I thought it was like a cool little thing because it makes it so like you ward a creature against effects of a single spell, choose a spell and name it out loud. I saw it now, just like if there's certain spells that I know, like, oh, okay, I watched like one of my opponents with like an arcane, I'm like, all right, I want to figure out what spell he casts. I don't like that bullshit. I cast like, oh, he's been casting Fireball. I say, all right, Balin's immune to Fireball. Fireball doesn't bother him anymore.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it like you ward a creature against the effects of a single spell? Choose a spell and name it aloud as part of the verbal component. Spell immunity attempts to counteract that spell whenever the spell immunity target is a target of the named spell or its spell's area. Successfully counteracting a spell that targets an area or multiple targets with spell immunity negates the effects only for the target affected by the spell immunity. So it's I know like a creature has a big bullshit move and we already got hit with it once. I don't want to get hit with that shit again. If I know what it is, bang, I can now make it so I'm immune to it, or somebody else who might be particularly weak towards it is immune to it. And then I also took freedom of movement. Because then at that point it's like, okay, something's slowing people down, it's keeping them from doing certain things that they want to do. All right, now you can just go run around, go play.
Yeah.
What I took for the character at that point is at 6 I took selective energy, right? Simply because it's I burst an AoE spell. I don't want the bad guys catching the same amazing heals that I'm throwing on my friends. I can
Got
just
it.
say, okay, you, and you in the back. Okay, you get healed. You're not allowed into the club. I'm sorry, your name's not on the list. You're not allowed in the club healing. It's just not happening. The skill feat I took was assurance medicine. I know I could have taken it earlier, but like there's other stuff that I just wanted first.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that point with assurance healing, because at 7th level, I get the skill increase and I'm making it master. Now it's medicines that matters master, it's at assurance, it's auto. At that point, it's like I'm
Why am
taking
I
like,
rolling?
take 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes, everybody gets a heal. All right, we're good to go. All right, we got 10 minutes, everybody gets a heal. All right, we're good to go. On level 8, I took advanced domain. I took the healing domain.
Mm-hmm.
It gives this really cool move that I really like.
is it?
I think it's my favorite move out of like all the stuff that I have, right? And it's called Rebuke Death, right? Now what Rebuke Death does, it's a focus spell, right? So it's, hey, I can get that back later. Hooray! Do more stupid shit every
During
10
that
minutes.
10 minutes of
Yeah.
healing.
More stupid shit every 10 minutes. Right now, let's say something happens really bad for whatever reason. I'm not able to like heal everybody, and people go down, and shit starts hitting the fan. It's gonna happen. Right. This one is, you snatch creatures from the jaws of death. You can spend 1 to 3 actions casting the spell, and you can target a number of creatures equal to the actions spent. Each target regains 3d6 hit points. If the target had the dying condition, coming back from the dying due to this healing doesn't increase its wounded condition. So somebody goes down, let's say like, oh, dragon rolls up, hits everybody with, acid breath, they all go down. I'm like, oh shit, it's my turn. Rebuke healing, everybody comes back. They're not dying. Nobody gets the wounded condition. And they gain 3d6 HP. They're back to, like, they're not back to normal, but they're not like, oh no, everybody's a melted pile of goo. Everybody's now standing and ready to run away. And I like that. And it's a 20-foot emanation, so it's like boom, 1, 2, 3, people get up.
What? That's actually
cool.
really powerful. Like not getting the wounded condition is so key because it takes a full night rest to get rid of every level of wounded, and every time you go down, it increases your dying condition. So, like you said, if you could do it on the first turn, you essentially gave them an extra full dying turn.
Yeah.
And if you have a player who's taken, what was that, Die Hard, that 5, they now got 6 free deaths. Yo.
Like I looked at it, like I really liked it because it's just one of those things where it falls in line with making sure people don't die, people can still be healed, and instead of making it just like, oh man, I can just AoE heal, just like, you know what, I can AoE heal and they can get something, or I can just pop this, catch everybody back up. They're losing certain negative conditions on top of the things that maybe I can't take off with heal.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next time, like, all right, I can burst an AoE heal. Everybody gets certain bonuses and do some other stuff. Right. I really like that combination of taking the bad while still giving the good.
I like that. It really fleshed out at this point, and we could keep going on level 10, level 13, 15, 18, 20. I feel like this point you've kind of like built your base so well that anything else is just more of how you would want to play the character, and it's kind of giving the other people options at this point, and you kind of like laid out like a nice groundwork where if you're following this, you'll have a really good healer. But also, if you don't want to follow it, you want to splice things in, you'll still have a really great healer. So I like that. That rebuke deck is gross though. I didn't even like. That's so gross. And level 8 to our wizard.
All right, so a couple of things that took we have to go through. You can level 6, 7, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go through the skill feats. The skill feats are kind of like to kind of not throw away, but because I was focusing so much on knowledges, I didn't really get access to a lot of the higher level good ones.
Mm-hmm.
The good feats that really can, like, I didn't have a high course, so I mean I think I took diplomacy just because why not, but
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, so stuff like that. But something that has to roll back to an ability that I get at first level. I took linked focus at level 6, which technically I could have taken it 4, but I wanted to get the druid spellcasting faster.
Yeah. The worst.
The linked focus. So there's an ability that wizards get called arcane bond.
Okay.
So you have an arcane item, a bond, either with your familiar or with a special item. It's just like a RP special item that you have. They could be a spellbook, whatever, that you can drain for its arcane power once a day, and basically get back a spell you cast that day and cast it. Right. So say I cast Charm earlier in the day, right, and I went through all my first level spells and I cast Charm 3 times. Right, I can go through. Okay, well, I cast Charm today, so I'm going to drain my focus. Not focus is a bad word. Drain my arcane bonded item, and now I can cast that spell. Right, it basically gives you 1 extra use of any spell you've cast throughout the day.
I don't like that.
Right, linked focus says anytime I do that, anytime I drain the focus, I get a focus point back. So not only do I get the spell back, now I get my focus point back too, which then just keeps getting more and more disgusting.
How long does it take to get that arcane drain thing back?
It's once a day. It's once a day.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
They're both once a day. So I can drain this item once a day to get 1 spell back, and I can then this obviously would only happen once a day since that ability can only happen once a day.
Okay.
So something that's going to happen a lot, but it's every day. I'm getting basically an extra spell of, and that's where a little bit of the extra versatility is. I don't necessarily have to say what spell it is until I decide what spell it is.
Yeah, that's
which is good. Level 7, we're getting extra spell casting. That's just innate wizard things. I get automatic knowledge because that's always more action economy is always good.
Yeah.
Well, you said you at level 8. You said before, like, how many times can I do that? Well, at level 8, I actually can do it more time.
Stop it.
I can drain my bonded item twice, but that focus point thing only happens once a day, so can't get that back twice.
But still.
Yeah, so I can cast 2 different spells that I've cast throughout the day again, which is hey, and then really where it comes down to is those 4th level spell slots are starting to come into play.
Yeah.
And I'm really only picked the enchantment spells just to prove that's not to prove a point, but just to really deeply focus in on it. But you can have any spells you want. So you're gonna get automatic enchantment spells in your spell book, I think, at every level that you get.
Yeah.
But you also could pick any spell you want. The 3 big ones is Suggestion, Confusion, and Outcast's Curse. I really like Outcast's Curse. It's basically disadvantage for opponents. So you can only target 1 creature, and you have to touch them. But that's what the earlier on we took a spell. I think Spectral Hand lets me touch people at range. But the cool thing is for 10 minutes, if they fail their save, the target must roll twice and use the worst result when attempting Deception, Diplomacy, Intimidate, or Performance checks. And anyone that they interact with, their interaction already starts 1 step worse. If they fail, that's where they succeed their save. If they fail their save, the effect is the same, except it's forever.
Wait, what?
It's a curse. It's forever.
It's permanent.
Forever.
Permanent.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bro. Permanent.
if they crit fail, the only benefit they get is anytime they interact with somebody, they're 2 steps worse when they talk to somebody. Some people just hate them.
That's terrible. Oh my god!
I think, is that useful in combat? Because not really, because it's affecting like the performance and the intimidation and deception, but it just makes someone just an angry person. That's the angry person spell.
Yeah, I feel like you could do that to someone you hate,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
and like in
That's when that NPC didn't give you that deal to get that
Yeah.
item. Oh.
Yep. Fuck you forever.
forever. I'm gonna make sure they fail this. How? I got 3 castings of this extra bit. Just drain the spell thing.
Yup.
Bang, hit them again. Oh, they passed. Drain the thing. I'm gonna make them fail.
Fuck that vendor.
Yo, oh my god.
You know, and suggestion we don't know what suggestion is just so good.
Stab your friend.
Yeah, call fusion, just have people go insane.
Yeah.
You know.
Do they still have that thing where you roll a D4, D6, or D10, and that's kind of like there?
Let's see.
I know, like I forget what.
I have to look up the confusion. Let me look it up.
I've like played so many systems. I ironically get confused with spells. Yeah, because a lot of times other systems will say like roll a D6, and then that's what the enemy or the player does on that turn.
And I
So
said,
There we go.
words are difficult for creatures to resist. You suggest a course of action to the target, which must be phrased in such a way as to seem like a logical course of action to the target and can't be self-destructive or obviously against the target's self-interest. The target must attempt a will save. Critical save, the target is unaffected and knows you try to control it. A regular success, the target is unaffected and thinks you were talking to them normally, but not casting a spell. Failure, the target immediately follows your suggestion. The spell has a duration of 1 minute or until the target has completed the finite suggestion, or suggestion becomes self-destructive, or has other obvious negative effects. Critical failure as a failure, but the base duration is 1 hour.
And that's
Yeah,
what-
suggestion's really good.
That's
Well,
really powerful.
Yeah,
You can be like,
confusion.
walk away.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Leave.
Confused is you do not have your wits about. This is just a confusion
Yeah.
condition. You do not have your wits about you, and you attack wildly. You are flat-footed. You don't treat anyone as an ally,
Oh,
although they may still treat you as theirs. And you can't delay, ready, or use reaction. You use all your actions to strike or cast defensive cantrips. Though basically the GM takes control of your character. You can take other actions as necessary. Say you have to draw a weapon or whatever. Your target's determined randomly by the GM. If you have no visible targets, you target yourself, automatically hitting but not critically hitting yourself. If it's not possible for you to attack, you just babble and waste your actions. Say you're restrained or something, you have no weapons or whatever. You just drool. It's says you get the drool.
I'm just upset. The one was like, yo, if no one's around, you have to stab yourself. You're like,
It's like you don't.
that should be an auto crit. That should be an auto
Oh,
crit. Like if I'm gonna stab myself, I'm not gonna be like, oh, my hand. It's gonna be
Used.
no, but it's not also like 1 damage. It's your full weapon damage.
Yeah.
yes.
It's not like the cool part is though each time you take damage from an attack or spell, you can attempt a 11 flat check to recover from the condition.
Oh, it's not terrible.
Yeah, and even when I'm casting it, I don't think it'll last that long.
Okay.
I think it lasts a minute if you fail your save.
Yeah, but that's a fight. If you're
Yeah,
fighting
but that's
someone-
now you have to fight a friendly.
Yeah, that's great in like mass combat. That's when you try to hope that you don't hit you're not aiming for the boss, but you're aiming for the bugbear. Yeah, and with that, we kind of come to the end of this episode of Power Up. Say it's here. Any other things anyone would like to say, even on this topic, on the topic of the character that they've built? We could start with Steve.
Yeah, I will say that anytime that something involves magic, you could just kind of say, "Oh, magic," right? But there's a lot of different spells, and like I said, we're kind of laser focusing on it.
Yeah.
But don't let that discourage you.
Mhm.
There's a lot of utility, and like I said, it kind of didn't really go into like the druid side of things, where like entanglement and webbing and all the crazy BS that primal spells give you. But there's a wide variety, and that's the benefit of spellcasters over martial. Is you may not have the best damage, but you can affect the fight or you can affect the game in many different ways. So there's obviously your staples, your damage spells, your magic missiles, your fireballs, your lightning bolts, all the burning hands. But then you also have these wacky spells that just like, oh, your character just walks away and goes home, walks 3,000 miles away, just walks home. Just you have these interesting things that you can do that you can then use your out of the box thinking to solve problems instead of having to like myrtleize everything.
Yeah.
But to go over every spell, it's just hard.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's just hard for us to go over like the 150 50 pages of spells that are in the book.
Yeah, we're trying to make this reasonable for our listeners and our Patreon listeners. We're not trying to drive people away.
Yeah, we love you, Patreon listeners. We love you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Streets, anything you would like to touch on, Ed?
I want to like agree with Steve, and everybody knows like who's ever played me. Like I'm not a fan of casters simply because I always feel weird about spending so much action or so much time on particular spells and then watching certain things fail or watching things go bad. It's like if I miss an attack, I'm just like, I bet I'm gonna attack again. I miss an attack, I bet I'm gonna attack again. I get laser focused in that way sometimes, and I'll forget to do other things. And I feel like with a spell, I used a spell. It was 2 actions. What can I do? I can move. Like it would use to just that's certain thing about magic that irked me. And in addition, I always felt like magic in itself was just BS. I'd rather punch somebody in the face than watch somebody, hit me with like a sparkly hand, right, and pluck a thought out of my head. Something about that just irks me on a fundamental level. But having like playing it with support where it's instead of me looking at it, how much damage can I do? It's how much healing can I do? How can my healing be so gross that I make it so that the monsters lose heart and wanting to actually hurt me or hurt my opponents? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I just thought about it in reverse and found like a lot of great combinations that work with healing spells, that work with domains, that work with character class ability as well as ancestries to make it to the point where like if I throw out one heal, it's going to heal a lot, or it's going to heal multiple, or I'm going to get like a passive buff from it. And that in myself, just watching those little train things are like, okay, I healed him for 2 d10s. All right, add an additional +1. Benji gets +2, and half the damage that goes to him comes to me. And those people are down. Next time I'm going to bring them all up, all in one shot. Something about that just goes, oh, that's very versatile, even though all I do is heal.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had a lot of fun building this character and finding little avenues that go together, to make like a great town of healing.
Yeah, I mean, I think even as a healer, you can be more than that, or even the best at that. Looking at, a lot of people feel sad that they're not the barbarian doing redonkulous amounts of damage, or the fighter, or the rogue. I see that look on people's faces when we're playing our campaign and Jeff's character hits for a ridiculous amount of damage, and the people are like, damn. Like the casters are like, damn. But then you have those moments where Tina's character hits people out the air with a water spell, and Trevor is able to haste a character and then shoot something and change the drama and change the course of action. So the casters, I feel like casters get not a bad rep, right? Like people who love casters love them. Like the moment they're in, they just love them. They're like, nah, man, anything else is subpar. Which is fine. And then you could see it, right? Like now I see it because I got to have this session with you guys and see these casters and see how you can be this healing juggernaut. And obviously there's ways to take it, right? Like I could be a jerk and say, all right, well, I'm going to put heavy armor on. So my character is in full plate with a 20 AC, at level 2, and can also heal a ridiculous amount of damage. So no one's touching me. Like, A, the monsters aren't going to hit me, and B, no one's going to hit my friends. I'm just going to I'm going to ruin my everything's life. It's just gonna make it bad. Be like, stop trying to hurt them. It's not gonna work. Choose a better avenue. You know, and same thing with Steve. It's fun with like this concept of I'm going to mess with your head. I'm going to pluck that knowledge out of your brain. I'm going to make you confused, and I'm going to make you want to walk home later this afternoon. You know what? Well, I'm just gonna charm you. I might not got the charisma for it, but I'm gonna walk up to the guard and be like, hey, listen, I understand my friends all look shady, but you should totally let us in. And the guard, I'm gonna charm you, and the guard's gonna be like, well, you know, I do agree, I should let you guys in, but maybe you could grease the wheel. And then, you know, you're like, all right, fine, here's the silver piece. And then everyone gets in, you know, without having the rogue stab the guy in the neck.
You know, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, you could hit them with the Obi-Wan, you know. These are not the droids you're looking for. And I think that's fun. And there's a lot of things you could do with that. You could, you know, you have the druid, you have the familiar that can come into play a few times. You know, are you going to be doing 40 trillion damage compared to the barbarian? No. But you're probably doing crazier shit than the barbarian by level 6. And then by level 8, your characters are like, yeah, the barbarian can do a ton of damage, but if I stopped healing him for one turn, or her in one turn, they're going down.
Sure.
Right? Like, because they're absorbing the aggro. You're giving them the ability to stand in front of the fight, to stand in front of the enemy, screaming their heads off, screaming profanities as the cultists try to stab this one guy, and he's like, your blades do nothing to me.
Healer is good.
Yeah, you know, in my head, he's like, well,
your friend instead.
Yeah, and then, you know, you have the guy in the background's like, stab your friend. And the cultist is like, I should. Stab. And, you know, and then, like, in my head, you got, like, you know, the barbarian standing there getting stabbed up and all the wounds just mending, like, straight up, like, word up to, like, Wolverine. Just men. And the cleric's in the back, like, yeah, if I stopped, you're dead. Stop getting stabbed so much. It also forces the DM to think about their combat encounters. Maybe they're not going to just throw wave after wave after wave of cultists or crazed orcs hyped up on like red mushrooms or, you know, whatever. They're going to throw stuff that's going to cause the medic to use their spells differently, like poisons. And they're going to throw oozes who have no mind. They're completely immune to mental effects. You know, so now you're dealing with oozes that hit you in poison. So the wizard's like, well, I'm SOL, but thank God I took, you know, magic missile, so I'm just gonna keep popping magic missile. And, you know, the cleric's like, damn, fine, I'm healing you, but I'm healing you to get rid of your poison, which is making me burn away these heals. So it's fun because it forces everyone to think. It just doesn't force the players to think. It forces myself as the eternal DM. So I hope everyone out there, I hope you guys had fun making these characters. I'm very grateful to our Patreon patrons for constantly giving us the ability to do these videos and constantly allowing Fabio an avenue to get his craziness out on. I really love doing this. We are also putting up on our YouTube page, which is NVNG Podcast. There's only 2 currently, and it's the aid and the mobile one, the mobility one.
Yeah, we're trying to get more videos
we're gonna keep, you know, fleshing that out. It's a new avenue, and you'll be seeing more of that. But from all of us here at Nothing Ventured, Nothing Gained, rolling dice, giving advice, a little bit of that New York spice. Say goodbye.
Cheers.
Later.
Bye.